It's Blake's Buzz Live. Buzz, 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 buzz. It's Blake's Buzz Live. Buzz, 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 buzz. It's Blake's Buzz Live. More, hate less, read comics. It's Blake's Buzz Live.
Buzz, buzz, babies.
Buzz, buzz, babies. It's Wednesday night. It's time for another shit show. It's time to for me to say a bunch of weird shit and show you guys a whole bunch of cool comics that you can all that money is it's Wednesday, right? So like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you've had 3 hard work days, right? We're closer to the weekend than we were before, but that money that you earn this week, I'm going to show you wonderful ways to spend it. And you should do it, right? Because I have good comics to show you. This is the 31st Blake's Buzz Live. I feel like I have a good background here. I've shown you guys that I sort of know what I'm talking about. Anyways, let's introduce you to tonight's guests. First up, we've got Luke W. Henderson. What is up? How are you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good, Blake.
I am so excited to have you on. We're here to talk Sparks Volume 1. I'm very stoked for that. It's a cool anthology, and you still got a couple weeks. You're in that really fun, exciting Kickstarter period where nothing really happens, right? Like that's
big old slog right now.
bunch at the beginning, stragglers in the middle. Big rush at the end. Is this your first? I guess you'll probably wait. But real quick, is it your first Kickstarter?
It's my first one. I'm running by myself.
By yourself? Oh man, so you're just a ball of fucking stress, aren't you?
Yes. I'm on way too much.
That's awesome. Well, we're excited to have you tonight, and hopefully we can get you a backer or two. No promises. As long as I don't lose you any backers, that's the big deal, man. I don't want your money to go down. Like that's the scary part. Next up, we got Mr. John Ward. John Ward's in the house. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I am excited. John's in a safe boat, right? So like his comics are already out. We're just trying to get more people to look at it and pick it up.
It exists. It exists. Go buy it.
Yeah. You get it. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about where to get it. Stitcher is awesome. Okay, yeah. See, I always do this. I always drag my intros on too long. You would think I would know by now after 31 episodes. I would learn to let's just introduce everybody and then start going. But I just get excited. I just want to talk comics, man. I just get stoked for it. Mr. John, Biz Baz Bubbies. Oh man, the bizzles and the bazzles and I'm about to steal that, dude. That's about to be my new t-shirt. We're going to launch that tomorrow. John's in here twice with 2. He's all right. I like this. He's helping my metrics. So please, if everybody could do that, if all our listeners could develop multiple screen names, multiple logins, and technically watch my show 3 times, comment, share it, subscribe it, definitely subscribe it and like it. That would be great. Anyways, regardless of all that, metrics are wonderful and terrifying all at the same time. Last but not least, we've got Mr. David Byrne. David Byrne's in the house. David has been on my show 18, 19 times. I don't know. It's been a few.
Enough to know to say buzz, buzz, babies.
Yeah. How you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm living the dream.
I bet you are, man. So David's here to talk about Canceled 2, actually. Canceled 1 is already released on Black Caravan, fucking blowing all our minds, freaked us out, made us think about fucking clowns differently. And this was before Terrifier 2, right? David scared us with clowns before the new Terrifier.
I totally was the first person ever.
You were the first person to ever scare anyone with clowns. Remind me to tell you about my grandma.
Very great. That's a great segue. Let's hear about your
wonderful transition. Hey, remind me to tell you about my dead grandma later in the show. It'd be great. It'd be a real good story. Anyways, welcome to the cast of folks who will never come on my show again after that. I'm real happy to have you all on tonight. I am excited. I go back and forth to where I but I like to let everybody know that like the life of a YouTube streamer, podcaster, reviewer is really hard, right? It's just like, I'm a white single guy. I don't have kids. I don't make $500,000 a year, and on top of all that, on top of those two crazy things, I do this show, right? No, I'm just kidding. I'm a prick. I'm like the lovable prick though, but I did go like through a phase, and I did think about not doing this anymore, and I'm glad I fucking smacked myself in the mouth, because even though I get stressed out beforehand, like once that fucking clock goes live, once that sweet fucking Blake's Buzz intro track that I paid $50 for and have no regrets, because dude, that's like my alarm in the morning. I gotta wake up. I don't really do that. I wake up to that get the fuck out of bed, bitch, go. That's what I wake up to now. But anyways, I love that song, and when I hear that song, when we all pop in, and I'm like, hey, like, like I just get fucking excited, right? And I just want to like squeeze comics into a ball and mash. Okay, this is how I eat Starburst. I take right. Hold on, I'll get you where we need to go soon. I promise you. Like, it sounds crazy, but I'm gonna get us there. So like when I eat Starburst, right? I take all the 4 colors and I fucking mash them together. I unwrap each 4 color, mash them together in a little ball, right? Fucking eat it. Best fucking flavor ever. And that's how I feel when I launch every new episode of Blake's Buzz Live. We all get in the room together, and I'm like, hey, you guys ready? You're like, yeah, we're ready. And I'm like, yeah, let's go. And then we go live, and the music plays, and I smash all your comics in a little ball, and I eat them. And I'm ready, and I'm excited. I told you I'd get you there. Anyway, so Blake's Buzz Live is not canceling. Don't listen, listen to me sometimes, like when Dark Horse pull quotes me, listen to me then. That happened today, by the way, and Brian Edward Hill like told everybody to listen to my podcast. So like I had a really good day on social media, and then I got off work and drank a lot. So sorry, but I got shit to celebrate tonight. We're not just here to talk about these guys' amazing comics, right? Their amazing comics are awesome, and they're great, and they're worth your money. But God, Blake had a good day too, ladies and gentlemen. Anyways.
Cheers.
Hi everybody. Welcome to Blake's Buzz on Wednesday. I'm so excited to talk about the guests we have here today. New and like I said, David's been on a few times before. I know John has to go possibly. John has like one of those little human things he's got to care for, right? He has offspring.
I do, but it's okay. I'm drinking beer. I'm being here.
Oh, you're finally someone's drinking with me. Oh, I love this motherfucker already. Yes. All right. So, but I just in case, John, we're going to start with you, right?
Okay.
We're going to start with you. Stitcher. Scratcher. Yep. Yeah. Ooh, wow. Oh, wow. I'm like -2.
We'll just edit that out. And
we'll edit that out. We're not live. We'll fix it in post, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We can fix that in post, right? No, I'm not talking to anybody. Anyways, okay. Is that okay? Where did that name come from? Is that like tattoo artist slang? Because I've never heard that term before.
Yeah,
it's why I fucked it up. It's why I fucked it up, ladies and gentlemen. It's because it's a foreign term. I'm not familiar with it. Not because I drank a couple drinks before the show. I was ready.
No, I can tell like it's the beer's kind of like helps you. So my book's like a psychological horror about tattoos that possess people.
Mm-hmm.
So scratcher is kind of like a derogatory term for kind of like a bad tattoo artist.
Oh, so it's a derogatory term.
Yeah.
So you don't want to be called that.
I mean, like I've heard it. It's kind of weird because I've heard it like in different ways. Like where I came from England, so I've heard it there kind of like used as a derogatory term, but like here I've heard it kind of like as a positive term. So I think it's just where you come from, kind of like, and just informs it. But it just felt like a natural kind of like name for a book that's kind of like about tattoos, but kind of also has that kind of horror tinge to it. So kind of that's why the name kind of stuck, I think, for that book.
It has more than a horror tinge. I would like to throw that out there. It's straight up fucking genre awesome horror fiction. It's really good. It's so good. Okay, like I'm jumping like 3 chapters ahead, but when my favorite part of your okay, hold on. Before we do that though, did this release in singles or did you drop it as an original graphic novel?
We did it as singles with Antarctic Press, like in 2019, 2020, and then this just came out as a trade paperback through Lev Gleason.
Okay,
So
and
that's a Canadian publisher, but
yeah,
yeah.
I've never that was another that also threw me off. The publisher, like how you want to well, hold on. Are they treating you good? Do you like them?
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
cool.
no
So like
complaints.
tell us a little bit.
Yeah. No, so you may have heard of like Chapter House Comics. So they did like Captain Canuck and a bunch of things. So something happened and they restructured and they relaunched as like Lev Gleason. And so this is like their indie imprint, Lev Gleason New Friday, who published this book. So they've got like a lineage going back, but it's kind of like a new direction and a new kind of focus.
All right,
but it's all great so far. I mean, the book looks good. I'm always I have like high standards for print, and I'm always worried about like paper quality. I do like readers to kind of have a nice book. So I was really happy with kind of like the way it turned out, the version. So it's all good.
Very cool. Now I know you can get it from third-party sellers on Amazon, or is there a better place? Do you have your own personal store, or is there a better place that you would rather people check it out?
I do have my own store, but the book's not up there yet. So I would say Global Comics, I think, is now selling it digitally. So I'd go there, and then also Lev Gleason sells it through their store. So if you're looking for the digital version, that's where I'd go. Physical versions, comic book stores and bookstores, I think.
And it's ready. It's a couple. The comic is a couple years old. When did the trade launch?
Trade came out this year in July, the end of July.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So so if you go to your local comic shop, that we can still order this. It's still in print. Like you can get this awesome Scratcher comic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So I was raised Catholic, right? I was raised Catholic. My dad was a maintenance man at my Catholic school, and I watched the Catholic Church treat way before the Catholic Church scandals. I saw the Catholic Church treat my dad basically like a dog. Like gave him these crazy he was the only guy there, and they were like, fix this, rebuild this, strip and wax the gymnasium floor, redo the cafeteria. He's one guy, and they worked my dad to the bone. And the reason he worked there is because me and my sister, my mom's side of the family, was very religious. And when my dad married my mom, he made her a promise, my grandma a promise, and he was like, hey, I'll put the kids through private school, through Catholic school. And I was like, so that was always very important. So he ended up working there on top of a couple side jobs because he got a discount on our tuition through grade school, right? And so I have great friends that I met there, and it was very similar to public school, except it's later on in high school, when you didn't show up, they called your parents, whereas public school was well, we're too busy to fuck with that. They just weren't here today.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I grew up, and even though I don't agree with it, faith was a big part of my upbringing, and faith is a big part of Scratcher. And I've been wanting to ask you this for all week. I've been excited to drop this fucking bomb on you right away.
Okay, do it.
We get instances of faith in this comic book where this something's in the ink, something's in the tattoo. It possesses people. It makes them do really, really terrible things, which is akin to Canceled, that we're going to talk about soon. It's akin to, I watched Smile last night. I turned all the lights out and watched Smile and scared the shit out of myself last night. And then first thing this morning, wake up and read your comic before work this morning, and I was just like, oh, it's happening again. I'm doing it to myself again. Fuck. And anyways, so you have this really interesting narrative where faith is involved. There's a priest that also has a tattoo, that weird things happen, but so we start out where faith might be the answer. But by the end of the comic, faith isn't the answer. Yeah, we find out that it's serotonin levels. Faith happened to work in this one instance because the priest was so tied to that, so we could use faith to manipulate the chemicals in his body to change what happens, with the tattoo. But by the end of the comic, faith isn't really the answer. But in the comic in a church. And I wanted to ask, what does faith mean to you? Were you Catholic? Were you raised Catholic, Baptist, something else? Like how is your faith, or at all? Maybe it's not, because like, there's not necessarily like everything that happened in this narrative you believe in, but what were you trying to say about faith in Scratcher? I was curious.
That's a great question. I think I'm really glad I have beer to kind of get me through this, because I think that's gonna be my crutch right now. So I was raised without any religious background at all. My extended family is kind of like pretty religious, but like different faiths. I didn't have that, but I was trained like as a scientist. My background is in physics. I was like I have a PhD in theoretical physics, so teaching physics. And
it's Dr. John.
It is.
I didn't know it was Dr. John.
Only to the cops, not not anyone else. But I kind of found that like for me, like a lot of what we do in science, is, at least in that area, is based on belief. I mean, it is a faith. So with the book, I was kind of like playing with the notion that there's like a scientific character and there's like a religious character, and both of them think that they know the answers, and they're kind of like telling us like this is religion, or this is science. And the reality is that it's neither of them at all. It's kind of, but like the fact that they believe it is kind of just interesting. So I kind of find that they're not opposites. They're kind of like this two sides of the same coin. And I think that's the interesting thing that I wanted to play with, to kind of see whether that could kind of build into the story. I think ultimately the story is really about, like a character dealing with like her imposter syndrome. Like she's a creative, she's an artist who doesn't believe in herself. And that's really kind of like what I think is what I wanted to get across, is kind of like having that belief kind of in the world that's kind of constantly telling you to go one way or go another way, or like, believe this or like vote that way. And like having that kind of internal sort of constitution to kind of work through the problem yourself is really the thing that saves her. So I kind of wanted to kind of bring those things in. I think it's a horror book, so kind of faith kind of like does play a role, like it is a bit of a trope, but it is there. Like sci-fi horror kind of like again plays on science kind of gone wrong, and I kind of wanted to touch on that. So I think those are the perspectives I wanted to bring in terms of like faith, kind of like around those kind of like the duality of it, and how that kind of reflects in kind of your own sort of internal journey.
Your own internal journey. That is a good fucking phrase. You must be.
He was on a spear. Just reading it off right now.
But no, I liked that, and again, like that was one of the first things I wanted to ask you, is because that was, with everything going on, it was funny. I kept going back to that, right? Like, is it, and then once you go back to that and battle with that, then you turn into the whole like, is it a demon? Is it an alien? Like, what's in this ink? What is this tattoo? And I love that you never 100% exactly answer everything, which is good. Because like I like that you make your audience come up with their own solutions and ideas and thoughts, right? Because that good literature does that, right? If I read through 120-ish pages of your narrative, or any of your all's narrative, if I read through that and didn't ask myself any questions and didn't think of any alternate possibilities, and if my mind was just a fucking dull slate where I'm just like groaning, turning pages, like that's not fun. Reading's not fun, right? And we're here to like, we want to have fun reading, right? You all want people to have fun reading so that people pay for your service, right? Like no one's gonna pay to like read this laborious narrative, right? you want something like interesting and fresh and exciting, and Scratcher does that. And I like that you do this push and pull with the narrative of between like demon and alien, of like of sci-fi and religious horror, and you keep coming back to these elements that keep us guessing, because it is very much it's similar to possession, right? But we've also seen sci-fi alien narratives that are similar to possession, right? So that play, I really like that you found that narrative play to kind of like run with. And also like the idea of like, the body, the gothic horror of it all, right? Like changing something on your body and how that changes you from within. And again, I want to go back to my favorite scene in this collection, is there's this sorority, right? And there's one like one of them gets a tattoo and it spreads to all the sisters, and they go to this secret beach, and these gorgeous sorority girls like pop up out of the fucking water fucking frogs, man. Like they all just like pop up, and our protagonist like doesn't. You have written the strongest female protagonist, like of all the female protagonists. Like this one, she never backs down. Like she's crippled almost for most of it. Like her hand's broken, it's in a cast. Like she has no idea what's going on. How did you come up with her? Because she is great. Like everything you put her through. Like even though I'm like, man, like give her a fucking break every now and then, but like you like throw all this stuff at her and she still is able to like compete against it in a feasible way. And like, so you're this tell us about this character that you've put through hell. Where did she come from?
Thanks. Well, I think it's she's really a team effort. I mean, like I started the journey of kind of creating her, but Juan Romero, the artist, kind of like brought her to life, and then like Eric Grissom, who did letters for me, he, you know, the way kind of like he gave her kind of like her voice on the page, I think kind of like defines her. But I mean, she's basically like an element of me. Like I kind of, you know, I feel like quite disconnected from where I come from, and feel quite lost, like, you know, as an artist, and I kind of have this imposter syndrome, like a lot of us do. And I think she just embodies all of those things. She's driven to kind of like make amends for something that she doesn't necessarily, she doesn't know like what's going on, but like she's just driven to kind of do something because her life is basically in the shit. You know, she's stuck in a rut, doing a job she doesn't want to do. These are the things that I think like speak to a lot of us as creators, and so I think she's just an extension of that, like in many ways. So that's kind of really where she came from. I just kind of pulled on a lot of things that I feel about myself and people I know kind of around me, and kind of, you know, I based it on a couple of people, you know, like who I know and who I'm friends with, but really it's kind of, you know, it comes from like having that conversation with the team and kind of really sort of working together to kind of put her together, because my original script isn't, you know, if you read that, it's kind of like, it isn't the character you see in the book. I mean, it really is kind of like the collaboration, I think, makes her real, makes her three-dimensional, and kind of gives her that energy and that drive. Which are you
talking about the bonus short at the end of it?
That was the original pitch. So we put the pitch. Okay. Yeah, the original pitch that we did, we kind of took that out to a bunch of places, and everybody rejected it, which is great, you know. But that's the way comics works. And you'll notice, like in the book, what we did was we reused pages from the pitch, like in the actual book itself. Just because I think that visually they worked, but, you know, for whatever reason, the pitch wasn't landing for people. So again, part of that was kind of tied into the character. You know, again, it's another thing that has to overcome all this external rejection too. So it just kind of fed my desire to kind of drive the story a little harder.
Nice. It definitely works with the tension. You know, there's a lot of things that are good people have to overcome, right? Yeah. Through this narrative. And again, like I just loved it. It's so gross and intense, and like yeah. Sometimes I wish it had color just for like the scenes where like there's body part, like the fucking college party, but right, like when there's body parts everywhere. Like sometimes I wish there was like color to dive into that, but I also liked that it was in black and white, because my twisted, gross, fucking horror obsessed mind had to like make all that real in my head, right? Like I had to paint that myself.
I mean, that's why we did it. I mean, the originally, like, you know, it wasn't that we were trying to do like a Walking Dead kind of like imitation, but we wanted people to have to put themselves more into the book. And so because it's grayscale, like you kind of you read it, like you have to look at the each panel, and the gutters too. I mean, the gutters are also part of the story. And I think with color, like I love, you know, a good colorist can, like, you know, absolutely like elevate the material. But I think with some of those pages, it would have just been kind of too distracting to see, the gore everywhere, and you kind of get sucked into that. Whereas I think having the grayscale kind of makes it more mundane, more the horror of every day, which is kind of, again, tying into kind of the story that we're trying to tell.
And David did that too with Canceled. Like Canceled is predominantly in black and white.
Yeah, we based the coloring on the era for that one because it bounces through time.
Okay.
And if you look at the styles, like the manga was in black and white, the 1950s was in black and white. We had an African-American family in the 70s, and I kind of toned it like almost like a blaxploitation movie on purpose. Like it actually used the Foxy Brown movie poster to give him inspiration for the coloring.
That's great. Like I like the idea of that.
Yep.
No,
but then
it really
Snake is black and white too.
Yeah, with splashing, with color, with color splashing. But so yeah, you're
I love black and white.
You do love black and white. It's funny, and it really surprised me when, and I don't. We'll get to this more, but like with Canceled, there's the, like you said, when we get to the family and it switches to color, and then it switches again to the manga in black and white, and I was like, man, what is this guy doing to me? Like you just like all the switching and the disjointedness, and you just like can't keep you don't keep your audience comfortable. And I think great horror does that on purpose. And I mean, we can maybe throw that to the group later. But anyways, so John, I really like your book. I just want you to know that. It was very creepy. It was very fresh. Like I said, after watching Smile last night and just like waking up this, maybe it hit harder, right? Because I was like, I didn't get it was a little harder going to sleep last night. It's very rare. Like I can watch some fucked up shit. I'm usually okay, but like Smile got a little under my skin.
Yeah.
And so like, I watched it late last night, and I have this stupid day job shit, right? So like I had to get up this morning to do the day job, and I went from last night. I went from Smiled to I finished reading Scalped, which if you guys have ever read that, that's just the happiest comic that's ever been around the bend. So I chased my trauma with more trauma, then tried to go to sleep. Then my fucking dog jumped on me. My little puppy like jumped on me in the middle of the night, and I was like, I scared the shit. He like scared me, and I was like, ah, and then he like felt bad, and then I had to like wake up, be like, no, it's okay, buddy, I'm sorry. And so like, anyways, I didn't get much sleep, and then I wake up this morning, I fucking read Scratcher, and I'm just like, holy shit, and it, even though like I was like, ooh, not again, like I rushed through that narrative, and not like it was organically, like it just like I wanted to turn those pages, I wanted to keep going, I wanted to see what happened, and there's great tension, there's great plot development. Like I said, I really nerded out on the faith aspect of it. I thought everything was really well done, and everybody can go buy that right now. This is not a Kickstarter, ladies and gentlemen. Like you can go to the website, pay for shipping. It's going to come right to you. You're going to get 4 fucking deliciously disturbing issues that you can just consume in your free time. It's ready to go right now. And I really, and you should do it. You should go get it. Go to what's it called? The digital one, Global.
Global
Global.
Or Left Gleason. If you go to the website, the publisher, you can get it. Just Google it. It'll come.
Oh shit! We got a Sean bought Scratcher through Antarctic Press. Man, you got. Well, sorry. We spoiled a whole bunch of shit for you, but there's also a lot more that we didn't talk about.
Yeah. We'll edit that out too. Like,
so how does it end, Blake?
Thanks, Sean.
Oh, David, you sly dog. But no, it's honestly like Sean, you're in for a treat. Even with everything we said. You do it. It's so good. It really is good. I hope other people who either listen tonight or check it out, tomorrow or the next day, because you can watch this on my YouTube channel whenever you want. It's really good. Check it out. I'm really glad I don't have tattoos, because I'd be looking at them. I'd be looking at them like making sure they're in the same position. Like waking up in the morning, be like, oh, cool, still on my forearm, right? Didn't move. So yeah, it's great. And we can because it's with the tattoos and on the body and these other elements, like we can call it Gothic literature. Like it's dealing with the body, it's dealing with the skin, it's dealing with these like bioorganic elements. Like, listen to me sounding smart. Bioorganic, boom. Yeah. Anyways, I wasted money on college. I learned cool stuff, but it's wonderful. Gothic literature it's dealing with the body, it's dealing with the skin, it's dealing with the identity, and it's playing fun games with you with faith and Christianity, which again, I love it. I love it so much. John, I'm so excited you came on the show tonight.
Thank you.
And,
I'm stoked to be here. Honestly, it's great to chat about comics just in general with great people.
Well, we'll see where we go. No, but again, it was awesome. And all right, so next up, we have a Kickstarter campaign. This one is live. So like this is where we need to get excited. We need to bring some people in. We need to get some backers, get some money going down. We got Luke. Luke is here to talk about Sparks Volume 1. It's Volume 1, so I'm assuming like there's maybe other stuff, and you're probably like, dude, we got to get one done before we talk about this. But Volume 1, like you assume there's gonna be a Volume 2, maybe a Volume 3, maybe a Volume 4. Like who knows? Like let's get excited. Let's think that into existence and make it happen, right? Like that's what the therapists and positive people say, you know, and they make a lot of money telling people that. So like let's manifest. Let's manifest these future volumes, but let's talk about Sparks Volume 1 now. Sparks is it's an anthology, but we're mixing sci-fi and we're mixing fantasy. We're kind of juggling genres here. You're not just anchoring yourself into one corner. You're spreading your wings and you're flying through the narrative highways, right? So like pitch us your anthology. Like tell us why it deserves our money.
Absolutely. So Sparks is a short collection of comics. The name comes from sparks of inspiration. So these are supposed to be those little sparks you have at the beginning of your career that hopefully you fan and they become passionate flames later in life. They're all sci-fi and fantasy comics, but they're all kind of linked by the same themes. They all kind of have characters who go through some unexpected changes or have something unexpected happen to them, and they kind of learn more about themselves because of those unexpected events. And I've got 4 different fantastic art teams for each comic that are from all over the world, and some of them are people I just met online asking hey, I need some help for an anthology. Who wants to chip in? And others are people I sought out.
Very cool. So people just helped you, just like asked for help, and they were like, "Yeah, let's do it."
Yeah, that's how I found most of these people. Was I was just shouting into.
You're like a good person. You're like a nice, decent individual. I take it. Like there's
I try to be, man. There's life's too short, and there's too much pain in the world to be a hateful person. So
that is true. That is true. And they say that everybody always says that it's harder to be negative, right? Like it literally, like even when you like think of your facial structure, like to frown, it uses more muscle energy in your face to like frown than it does to smile. Right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It seems like way more hard work to avoid people you don't like, or to constantly be surrounded by things that make you stressed.
Cool. That's awesome. So, all right. So you've found. So you mentioned you've got 4 artists. So there's 4 shorts in Volume 1. Is that?
Yep. There's a 4-pager, a 5-pager, a 7-pager, and then another 4-pager in that order.
Okay, so I think this is interesting. So I come from an MFA background. I used to write fiction. I used to write short stories, and I would write creative nonfiction like essays. I was a bouncer in a bar. I used to write about working in the bar a lot, and a lot of people, myself included, sometimes when you're writing a short story, if you're publishing it, if you're lucky, you get 20 pages, right, for a prose journal. Mm-hmm. Right. Sometimes it's less. Sometimes it's like 13 to 15 pages or whatever the word count ends up being. And so short stories, even with prose, and you get a lot more words, but it's still, you don't have a lot of time to put your characters through the ringer come out the other end and produce a character arc, right?
Right.
And you're dealing with 13 to 20 pages. Now, with comics, you're dealing with a fucking comic script in 3 to 5 page increments where you got to like make something happen, make your characters feel something, and then make your audience feel something, right? So like, are anthologies harder for new creatives? Like, is it because a lot of people do find their starts in anthologies? They'll submit this short story and get dropped into an anthology. But for prose, that shortness, that brevity, right? It's harder to make something real happen there. And then when you think about comics, and then when you turn it into like 3 to 6 pages, that's even less time. That's less space, and it's a comic script, so you're dealing with you're less words. Like you're so restricted, and you have to be so condensed and perfect, kind of. So is anthology work, these short pieces, like for you, is it more of a headache? Like, would you like why is okay? Sorry, why is this your first project? And while creating this, did you ever get kind of like nervous and say like, holy fuck, I wish I just did a first issue and had 22 pages? Or were you like, no, like these little beats, these little brief moments of life, like, are you better at attacking that kind of element?
So I definitely think, me personally, right now, I do a lot better with shorter stories just because I really have to focus on the basics. You have to have a compelling, problem and resolution to it. And man, I've always just really liked anthologies, whether prose or comics, because you get a complete story in a little bite-sized chunk. And the people who do it really well, it's like getting the best steak you've ever had in your life, because you can just see everything that goes into good writing in a very quick amount of time. So for this, I purposely wanted to use short stories for one. Just there were some I had on the back burner that didn't get accepted other places, and so I wanted to use them. I didn't want to go in the graveyard because some of these are kind of meaningful to me and have a deeper significance to myself. But also, just this is kind of me showing like kind of like what's my style, what I like to write in a bunch of short chunks. That way I can show a good scope of like what I can do.
And you're curating this as well. Like, this is you're making the deadlines happen. You're the puppet master with the strings, right? Like, you don't, are you having anybody help you edit, or are you all in by yourself?
No editing, unfortunately, on this round. It's just for financial reasons. I felt,
good God, your nerves are made of steel. Like, what?
but yeah, believe me, if it wouldn't have added more cost to the Kickstarter or more strained to my already thin budget, then I definitely would have. Cabbage Comics I would have had them on speed dial and gotten them on the scripts right away.
Cabbage is smart people. We got Sarah Landauer in the house. Sarah, thanks for tuning in. Yes, we're blending sci-fi and fantasy. Dipping my toes in the short comics. Yeah, it's all right. So, Luke, what do you have to say to this? Like, any advice for so Sarah? I don't know if you all are familiar. Sarah did Glitch, and it was a web comic, and they brought it to Kickstarter, and they were so fucking full of themselves. They were like, you can download our comic for free before you back it, and people still fucking backed it, digital and physical. Like, people still were like, okay, I like this comic, so I'm buying into it. And like, I'd never really seen anything like that before. I've seen previews, I've seen several page snippets. I've fucking never seen anybody be like, here's our first issue, you can read it. Or no, Ant with the K has done that too. So I've seen it twice, and apparently it pays off. Like, it's like people get like impressed with it. They're like, oh shit, if you're gonna do that, I guess I'll check it out. But anyways, regardless of that, so she's done the full issue on Kickstarter, thinking about going into shorter stuff, shorter anthology work, bite size. Luke, what kind of advice do you give to Sarah or anybody trying to dip their toes into that water that you're dealing with right now?
I think you really have to focus on just those basics of writing. You've got your setup, your conflict, your resolution, and that's really all you have time for. So you almost want to imagine that as like a really fleshed out scene more than a full story. So like you could have a full story of just someone just, walking across, a house during a house party and them ending up somewhere at the end. And that doesn't take a lot of time, but some meaningful stuff can happen in the conversations they have along the way or just the things they see along the way. So yeah, just really focus on having those basics and then make sure that it is, something that can be done in a short amount of time. It's definitely a different mindset from story because you're not necessarily thinking of a string of events. You might be thinking of one event.
Dude, so that you've just made me think about this differently. So before I was thinking about how like this might be more intense to a new creative, but the way you just broke it down into the scene, whereas like think of it as it's not a story, it's one good scene. But what is a great scene? Something happens. The plot does something from point A to point B before we go somewhere else, which is a slimmed down notion of a character arc, right? So like something has to happen, something has to change. That was really smart, dude. That was cool. Like you just kind of blew my mind a little bit there, Luke. Just fucking coming in hot over here. Is this guy's you should teach. You should do some creative writing teaching at a fuck it. I've had worse.
I used to teach communication.
Did you really?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So you know how to like talk to people. That's good.
Yep.
Maybe. Some people don't want to talk to people.
It's been part of my life just for as long as I remember. I was in Boy Scouts. You got to do public speaking there.
Yeah.
And just teaching and academics have always been a part of it. So you gotta know how to teach skills to people and talk to them to where they understand everything.
Unfortunately, no, I'm just kidding. I love talking to people. I used to, so like when I used to work in a bar, so like I had to talk to people a lot, right? And you gotta be nice to people too. Yeah, well, you gotta know how to like give them a little bit of shit, but also talk to them because you want their money, right? Like if you treat them right, they're gonna give you more money. Unless they're just useless pricks, but most of them like will tip you, right? And you're like, you gotta work for those tips. And then now I do, I run offices remotely for home inspectors all over the country. So I talk on the phone a lot, booking inspections, talking to realtors and shit. So for a very long time, before Blake's Buzz happened, people used to say like, Blake, like be on my podcast. And I was like, fuck you. I talk on the phone all day. You know what I don't want to do when I get off work? Talk more. I want to fucking like retire into my cavern and like, light my reading candles and read some fucking comic books in silence. Like I don't want to hear anything. And boy, is it good to be wrong sometimes because it's very different to like do work and then do passion and do something you're excited about. Right. And I didn't know that initially or want to go there, right? And I finally learned that where I was like, oh shit, yeah, like I can get off work and have an exciting conversation, and it's invigorating, and it's a great way to end the night, and it helps if you drink a half bottle of whiskey sometimes. So fuck it, right? Like what else are we gonna do? But no, Luke, I think that is awesome. And real quick, I forgot we gotta bring up your campaign page. We gotta show all this going on. So we need some more backers here. We got 15 days, ladies and gentlemen, and Luke. I don't know.
Back because that's not the number it was before the show.
Boom, making everybody rich, baby. No, that's awesome. I will take full credit for that though. But I love this cover. I love the cover. I love the text. I love the title. It's gorgeous. I like the hidden face. Like it's good. I like that you're coming out with volume 1 because you're like, you know what saying volume 1 I think does, Luke, is you're coming out and you're saying, hey, I got faith in this, and I got enough faith in this that there's gonna be a volume 2. Like even if you motherfuckers don't give me all the money I want, like there's still gonna be a volume 2, and I like that. And I think Kickstarter needs more of that. I think indie comics needs more of that. We all deal with imposter syndrome, and something as small as that is saying volume 1, we're gonna do more. Like I like that, and I appreciate you, and I think other people who have not launched a Kickstarter or maybe have failed a Kickstarter will appreciate that and your work ethic and just like I said, just that little thing to put faith in your work. And I love these pinups you give us of the various artists. Your campaign page is really good. I want to say that right now.
Thank you.
How this is a struggle for a lot of people, especially new people with Kickstarter. Like, how did you did you follow some other Kickstarters? Did anybody help you make this? Like, what? How'd you get this ball rolling? Like, I feel like you did some research. You knew you kind of know where you're coming from. I feel like.
Definitely. I mean, part of it was I snagged Greg Pak's book back in 2020 when he had it for free, his Kickstarter secrets. So that was part of it.
Nice.
A lot of it, though, was just observing campaigns of people that I like who have had success. And I basically just copied them because, I mean, that's the way to do it. You see who's being successful and, take what they're doing well and, add your own spin to it.
That's funny you mentioned that because Stephen Prince told me that like back in the day, everybody used to just steal Charlie Stickney's campaign outline and like copy and paste it like verbatim, except with their own material. And that was like, everybody just knew to do that. Just like do everything Charlie Stickney does, which is kind of still like, that's not a bad strategy. But no, I like that. So many, Luke, I'm not trying to kiss your ass, but I just really am. And I can't stop. But there, so many people will come out and say like, I don't know what to do. Like how do I launch this Kickstarter? Like, I'm so nervous. And like, people will help you. And there's an unlimited library of that you can like go back, like these campaign pages stay awake. Like you can go back and look at them after the campaign is over. You can go back and look at Charlie Stickney's first Kickstarter campaign for White Ash and look how the campaign page was, and similar stuff like that. And it's, do you think it's laziness? Like some people just don't want to like ask, like my dad. So my dad just got an Android phone, right? And has no idea how to use it. And he didn't know how to use his iPhone, and his iPhone broke, and he got a free Android phone. And so now he's got this, and I can't even imagine it, right? Because like I got confused going from iPhone to Android a while back, just getting like a comfort zone. Like, whereas for me, it took like a few days. And whereas my dad, I feel like the earth's going to be fucking ending before he realizes how to like use his phone, because he's not good at that shit. But I keep trying to tell him, I'm like, man, you can like go to YouTube and type in like, set up my new Android phone or new to Android, right? And these guides are going to pop up. They're going to walk you fucking through it. And he like can't figure that out. He like doesn't think, his mind doesn't think like that, right? Do you think we deal with that with like some Kickstarters? Because like some people are so lost, and I feel like there's like an infinite pool of knowledge, whether it's you asking people that have found successes on Kickstarters, because like even David, like if someone came to you and asked you a question, like you guys are pretty good about answering them. Like it's not like I have not met any Kickstarter person where like someone reaches out and they're like, hey, I'm lost, can you help me? And you guys are like, fuck you, I figured this out for myself, and you can fucking like go do it, like you do it, you figure it out. Like it's just like, it's a very like warm pool on a beachside hotspot where everybody's like, yeah man, come over, like grab a Corona, here's a lime, like let's sit down, let's talk strategy. Like, so it's crazy that some people like just you think they maybe it's pride, like maybe they're scared of asking? Do you think that's part of it?
That could be part of it. I think also a lot of it just Kickstarter seem really daunting because it's all on you, all the management and all of the organization and the copy that you're writing. It is all on whoever's running the page. But you're absolutely right. Like most of what I learned was from people who have successfully done this before, and they just wanted to help other people. But also Kickstarter themselves has videos of people that work there telling you how to do these things well, because if your Kickstarter succeeds, they make money. They want you to succeed, so they're going to tell you how to succeed.
I didn't think about that. I didn't know they had like a helpful Kickstarters. Luke, real quick, who did this Fire Went Out? Who's this artist?
That is Nicolas Merez from Argentina.
They are good. I like this. The other art's good too. I don't want to like, I'm not like lessering your other shorts here, but this I like this art, man. Like this jumping through the window, this action, like these people, this it's November. Like I'm reading heavy inked, slow action, very physical, very real. I'm reading a lot of this right now with like Brubaker and Phillips and rereading some stuff I'm about to start Criminal. I'm off all next week. So like, I'm diving into Criminal, and I'm finally going to read Kill or Be Killed. I've had that collection sitting around for a while, but this is very much like the style of shit I'm reading right now. And it looks great. It looks really good. It's a good anthology, folks. Like Luke should have more money on this campaign. So like everybody stop being fucking cowards and little babies and get to Kickstarter right now and throw this guy some goddamn money because he needs it. He needs it. I want this to happen. It looks really good. And look, $5 for digital, $10 for physical. 20, 40, you go up if you want some extra shit. Like this is priced very fair. This is good. You doing shipping right out the bat? Like, or are you doing it later?
No, right off the bat, I hate.
Oh, look at you! You're doing it, dude.
It happened to me recently. I got charged for shipping after the fact, and then it actually took another couple weeks for the shipping I paid for to get processed.
Yeah.
So it basically had to pay an extra money 4 weeks after the fact. So none of that. It's all here. The only really special thing about my prices, if you're an international backer, because I have international artists and I'd love their fans to be able to get this stuff. Whatever you back at, I'm bumping you up.
Nice.
Yeah, make the doubling from shipping seem more worth it. Hopefully.
No, that's good. I think everybody who knows. First of all, I think most people that are dealing with Kickstarter know that it's going to cost a little bit extra, typically for shipping. Also, you get a better book, you get better cover stock, you get better paper stock, you get better everything. It doesn't once the comic book is exposed to air, it doesn't fucking wrinkle up like a little sad old man, right? Like a Marvel comic book. I love Marvel comic books. I'm sorry, but like the wind blows on them. They fucking curl up like a goddamn Arby's French fry. It's weird. Anyways, like
they print regardless. Them on toilet paper.
But no, this art looks great. I'm excited. We got some you're going to do some other prints. That's what these are, right? That haven't been announced yet.
They're currently in the works.
Very cool. So everybody needs to check this out. It's a cool anthology, Sparks Volume 1, right? And if this happens, and it happens good enough, and we make Luke happy enough, we'll get a Volume 2, and that's exciting.
Yep, Volume 2's are already mostly scripted. I'm just waiting.
You're already working on it.
Already working on it.
God damn, man, you're doing it. I like it. You know what's going on. Like you've done your research. You've got your art teams. You've got stuff set up. That's very cool. Luke, you deserve our money. Everybody should give Luke money, right? If anybody disagrees, speak now or forever hold your peace. No one speak. Everybody shut your goddamn mouths. Just go back to this campaign. It looks awesome, Luke. I'm really happy you came on the show. Again, I think this anthology looks great. I'm excited about it. I also like the idea of like anthologies that aren't 160 pages that cost $30,000 to make, right? Like this is another cool way to celebrate the anthology and not have mounds of money that could lead you to temptation or cause weirdness to happen. That unfortunately we've seen happen lately. I don't want to bring up bad stuff. I just want to say it's happened. That's all. That's it. Done.
Oh, the number went up again.
Boom. See, that's what I do. That's what I do, baby.
The sprinkling magic.
I get you guys rich. John, I'm going to have John call his publisher and get like a printout of their sales report and send it to me so I can. And last but not least, I always feel, I mentioned this the other night, how I always feel bad because like someone's always got to go last. And I feel like they just fucking hate me when they have to. And David, hi, what's up, David?
David's got to come. No, if I worked with you this morning, I would have followed you around with the creepiest smile on my face. Just to torment you all day.
I thought he was going to say he would have fired me. Like if you worked for me, you wouldn't work for me anymore. That's basically
no, I could never fire you. I just have to torture you.
No, it was so good. And when you sent me that, I think you sent it last night because I wasn't like live tweeting it, but I was like tweeting about it, and I was like, I'm gonna watch
Discord.
Yeah, it was the burrito Discord, and you were like, "Ooh, I can't wait for you to read to read Canceled." Ha 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 ha. And I was like, "What does that mean?" And then I was like, "Fuck." The only thing that would have made it better is I almost did a double horror session last night. I almost did Smile and then Terrifier 2 because you can rent Terrifier 2 right now, and I really want to see it because I watched Terrifier with my mom, my sister, and my about to be brother-in-law, and I was really worried because like I feel like I'm pretty good. Like I've reviewed some horror movies and stuff, and I kind of started that on TikTok and was reviewing like horror stuff. And so when I like recommend a horror movie, like, you know, like recommending a comic, you know, it's like, it's a shitty feeling when you're like, "Ooh, check out this comic," and someone's like, "Cool, yeah, I'm gonna buy it," and then they read it and they're like, "Yeah, I didn't really dig that. It wasn't for me." And you're like, "Shit, fucked up. I ruined everything." And so we it was actually my birthday, my birthday dinner. My family's over, and I was like, "Let's watch Terrifier." And so we watched Terrifier, and my sister has anxiety issues, and like watching my sister fucking squirm, I was like, "Yes, I picked the right horror movie." And because my sister doesn't like horror movies but likes horror movies because that's what they're supposed to make you do. When they make you squirm and they make you feel uncomfortable and they make you think about life differently. They make you think like, why did I do this to myself? And that was very much me watching Smile last night. I turned my buddy Juan told me to turn the lights out and watch it, and I fucking had a giant plate of nacho or of tacos. I made this huge plate of tacos. I'm eating tacos, like watching Smile. And I quickly, in the first 20 minutes of the movie, realized, like, I was like, this is not the movie to watch tacos. There was a couple times where like I jumped and the cheese fell out of the taco. And I was like, you know, it was just like, there was saying, I was like, this is not a movie to eat to, but you know, like when you get off work at 7 o'clock, you don't have a lot of, you know, you eat and watch this movie, right? Because like it doesn't take long where it's like 10:30, 11, midnight, and it's when you get off work at 7, like time creeps up on you. Anyways, so I'm watching Smile and it's making me wildly uncomfortable, and I'm like, when I get real scared, right? And I kind of laugh, and I laugh like nervously, and I'm like laughing by myself, like realizing that like partway into this movie, I'm like I'm like cradling myself, and it was a great time. And then I wake up first thing this morning and you know, reread Canceled, read Scratcher, traumatize myself all over again, and then work, which is a traumatizing experience in itself. So basically, you guys just fucked up my whole day. Anyways, Canceled 2 is out right now, but Canceled 1 came out from Black Caravan. It was kind of similar to a horror anthology, right? Like we have a theme, but it's new, quick scenes hitting us harder and faster and making us uncomfortable. No, not yet, baby. We'll get there one day.
Working on it.
But you know, it's you hit us with these different scenes of very much like if we like what would happen if we canceled Mr. Rogers is kind of how I feel like this. They're like, Mr. Rogers is just too nice, and like no one really gives a fuck if you fucking like watch your little train go around and put your fucking sweater on anymore. Like we're tired of that. We need something new. And you know, with a little bit of a lightning bolt striking and a little bit of evil and a little bit of everybody just wants to be a sick motherfucker, whether we want to or not, we get canceled. And I am really curious where you take this second issue, because the Canceled 1 was a really good encapsulation of fear and trauma and variance. And it began and ended and began and ended and began and ended and began and ended and then ended for real in a very good way. But like, that structure it was a very complex structure where, especially if you're reading digitally and you don't have like the issue in your hand and you can't feel how many pages are left, you know, like the page turns when you're reading Canceled digitally are way more intense, I feel like. And
well,
just
you did lose out on the page turn because none of those stories were shared on the same page.
Oh, really?
So they all started on a new page turn.
Well, I feel like that happened Go well because I'm reading a single page on my tablet. Yeah. So
Yeah, so you get the same feel, but still,
Yeah.
like in the book, it was specifically laid out so you don't.
Oh, okay.
None of the stories overlapped on a pair of pages.
Okay, I gotcha. Because it was interesting, like not knowing how much was left. Because you can click it, right? I could click it and see, but I don't. When I'm like into the book, I'm not doing that. I'm like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Wait, time out. I don't want to be scared anymore. I was like, oh, there's 12 pages left. Okay, like I just was going and going and going and boom, and then like we talked about with when the color pops up, and then when we switch to manga, and just the whole notion of like, oh, like I played a game, like that was creepy, creeped me out. Where? How are you going to like how are you moving from like a 1 to 2? Because it was so good. It was such a good one shot. Even though I want more of it, I kind of just don't understand how you're going to give us more of it. Like, was that a struggle, or did you kind of have a plan, like where you were like, no, we're gonna do more, we're gonna have other releases, we're gonna fuck with you in other ways?
There was not a plan initially, and actually, full circle to the anthology thing. The original story was like an 8-page anthology submission I was going to do. I basically shelved it for like 2 or 3 years, and an artist who was supposed to work on Stake at one point, but he had to back out, came up to me and said, do you have anything I can just draw for fun? So I sent, I was like, I do have something
for fun.
I was like, let me take a look at it again. So I hadn't looked at it in a couple of years, and I expounded a little bit to like 12 pages, and then I sent it to him. He's like, oh, this is creepy, I love it, I'm gonna draw it. And his pages started coming in, and they were just so good that I sent them over to Schmalky at Black Caravan, and he's like, if you get this up to 20 pages, we'll publish it, as soon as it's done. And I was like, all right. But then I got it up to 14 pages on that version, and he's like, yeah, I just got a gig with a government grant and I can't do any more pages. So I was like, all right, so we've got 14 pages with this one artist, and I ended it, but then I'm like, what do I do from here? So I was like, all right, he's stuck in the airwaves. Let's just send him on a journey forward through time. And when I finished, I was like, all right, people are either going to love this or they're going to be like, what the hell? What just happened? So it ended up working out.
I feel like there's a both scenario there too, because there's a couple times where it's just unrelentless, right? It's like there's not, you can't. Jump scares in comics are so hard. Almost the only way you can really get a good jump scare with horror comics is if you're like reading it on Comixology and you're doing the panel by panel, and you can watch it in the dark, right? Because you're on a tablet, it's backlit, so you can literally like have yourself in the dark. You're going swiping panel by panel. Every new element is a surprise, and you can maybe trigger a pulse rate, through a page turn or through a panel, through a panel segment.
You have to have killer artists too if you're going to get any kind of visceral feeling from someone.
Which you do. You have several really good artists on this book.
We try.
You've always done that though. Like your interior artists are always great, and you always have a really, really great eye for variant artists. Sometimes, thankful to people like me who that was one time. No, but before that, like David has always been ahead of the variant game in a lot of his Kickstarter campaigns. He has different kinds of variants and all these artists, and there's just like, if you want some sexy shit, you get some sexy shit. If you want some raw, visceral, bloody shit, you get your, like, he finds you have your niche in David's variants. Like, he's very smart with that. And I've heard that's like a selfish endeavor for him because he's an art collector. So he basically like finds artists he likes and is like, do a variant for my comic. And then he buys that art and hangs it in his house. I think he has like a almost like a fucking like
a gallery.
Yeah, like up in his attic.
No, what's worse is
He
A
like,
lot of
and
these
one
are
of them's got
framed.
like the Dorian Gray, like it's got like a fucking claw thrown over it, like hidden in the back, and he's like, he checks it every now and then.
No, what's worse is a bunch of them are framed and they're just lining the floor around my office. 'cause
Nice. Oh,
I
you
don't have any
collect
wall space.
shit like I do. That's dope. I'm glad I'm not the only one. Time I wrote shout out for Geek Collective. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you. I'm on their network, so you know they gotta kind of pretend I'm neat. That's cool though. We like it. I'll be neat. I'll be neat for you, baby. Just don't drop me. But so yeah, so like David loves art. David has great variants, and he's not on Kickstarter this time. This is the big deal that I'm curious about. David's on BackerKit. This is one of the early BackerKit crowdfunding suites that they've talked about doing for a while, and now they're making it happen. It looks very similar to Kickstarter. Nothing's coming out crazy. I do want to take I love this cover. I want to take a real quick time out. All right, yeah, cool. Here's some awesome art. It's back. It's gonna kick your ass again. It's gonna scare you. Yeah. Where's it at? All right. Well, hold on. We can look at some. We'll look at some art. We've got some awesome art here. Full colored, by the way.
Because it's set in 1999. They had the world.
Oh, so that all right. So the time period's changing. Oh man, I miss those cubicle days. Psych. No, I fucking don't.
Dorothy
Even though my
cubicle
cubicle was sick and had like action figures and Funkos and Ninja Turtle posters and shit, like I had a dope cubicle, but I work from home now and I'm fine not having those Ninja Turtle posters up. Like they're in the corner and it's cool. Like anyways, that regardless. So we got some cubicle life. We got some real life stuff going on. Where's the fucking Ben Templesmith cover? I saw this. I'm just looking. That's what I'm trying to get to.
It's down there.
Here we go. Yes. Oh, he's got a Ben Templesmith. Ben Templesmith scares the shit out of me. He's a really nice guy. He's got tons of talent. He did a really great for Ink October or what? October.
Oh, Inktober, yeah.
Oh, Inktober. There we go. He did Mortal Kombat characters all month, and he's so talented and he's awesome. And this is like, look at all those teeth. Oh god, like it's like fucking Attack on Titan meets Canceled and Clowns. Like, oh my god. I love this Ben Templesmith cover. It's traumatizing. I love how and it's like split down the middle, and each side of the face is worse. Like one of if I saw either one of these, like if I opened up the bathroom like door to take a piss in the middle of the night and saw either side of this face like staring at me, I would die. I'm pretty sure I would die. I would just I thought about that last night with Smile. I was like, I'm not a healthy person, right? Like I'm a big man. I eat butter. I basically just drink. I love butter. Butter's on everything I fucking eat. I eat a lot of eggs. I love hot dogs. Like if one of these motherfuckers like turned around and smiled at me, like my heart's gonna explode. Like I'm not the guy who's gonna live through the horror movie. I'm never gonna be that guy, and I'm fine with it. But like, anyways, so this made me think of that. Like I was just like, ooh, it's like, no, it just makes me uncomfortable, and both sides make me uncomfortable. So anyway, and so I love this Ben Templesmith cover. All right. So anyways, rewind. David, what made you want to go through BackerKit's new Kickstarter suite? Like what did you get like a promotion or were you just like, Kickstarter's not stressful enough? Like, let's try a new one. I'm really going to put myself through the ringer. Like what made you want to go this route?
Honestly, I like to try new things. I was intrigued by what they were going to have to offer. And the best way to get an early look at it was to try to sign up for the beta. So yeah, they were, it was kind of like an application process. They put out there, if you want to be on the list, let us know. So I filled it out, and they contacted me and they said, hey, you want to schedule something for this fall?
Oh,
so
wow.
we had some talks, and
this is beta. This is like, you're like one of the
still
first.
Beta.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you go to the top, their logo has beta in it for this. So.
Oh, really? Oh, duh. Oh, shit.
So
not to discourage backers, ladies and gentlemen. Like, please put your credit card info in. It's safe. I did it. I'm not logged in right now, but I doxed myself a few weeks ago. I'm not going to do that again. I got a cool idea. I was like, I'll back something live, and then like
credit card number?
I hit the button and it like showed. I was like, oh, I don't want everybody to know the last 4 digits of my credit card number. And you know who did that last week was Kevin Joseph. Did that after I did it. He did it. He was like, and he didn't even call himself out. He was just like, he had like 2 credit cards up, and he like picked the one he wanted. And I was like, what are you doing? I was like, I fucked this up for all of us. So you didn't do this later.
I did that with my computer, you know, because it has the fingerprint to unlock it, and I wasn't paying attention, and I was just ready to type the password, and I was in a chat with someone when the screen unlocked. I just typed my password and hit enter, and I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, that night I did that. It showed my credit card numbers, and then I pulled up my Twitter DMs. Luckily, I'm not a fucking creep, so it wasn't like I was like, who can I send my dick pic to tonight? You know, it wasn't like that, but I was just like, my Twitter DMs are up, like all this shit, and I was just like, I'm just showing this to a live
I thought
audience.
You only sent those on Thursdays.
Yeah, it was a Thursday. Yeah, it's Dick Pic Thursdays. Okay, we got Taco Tuesdays. And we got Dick Pic Thursdays. I'm just trying to keep it gender neutral. I'm trying to keep the balance. Everybody, like, just Dick Pic Thursdays are a thing. Just make sure
And
send a
nobody
form
wants to be
first.
surprised by one. So if you know on Thursday that you're getting one, then it's it's better.
And let's be fair, you're always gonna be surprised. It's not, I mean, I am anyway. It's not like I just like log in every day and I'm just like, oh no, another one from John. Oh, that John. You know, it's always, you never know what you're gonna get. And you know, like sometimes it's like a sundial. You never know where the light's gonna hit, where the shadow's gonna go. You know, sometimes you draw a little happy face on it.
Will it be wearing a sombrero today?
Yeah, you can buy little hats for him. Buy a little fucking you can buy little kin hats, like sombreros, top hats. You know, buy all sorts of shit. Don't do that, ladies and gentlemen, or just only do it. You know what that reminds me of is when I was a bouncer. There were when Snapchat was like way bigger than it is now. There was this group of friends that would like take snaps of them shitting, and they would like send shit snaps to their friends of like the gross, like, and it wasn't like just like a call. It wasn't just like, what's up, guys? It was like mid fart, mid splash, mid plop. Like it was an intense snap shit shenanigan. All right. Like it was, alliteration be damned. It wasn't art. All right. It was shit snapping. And there was this little group of 5 people. And I was like, you guys are fucking weird. Anyways, don't do that to people that don't ask for it. Like they knew, they were friends. They were like, yeah, we're gonna send, like, hey, you want to be our friend? All right, we're gonna go out on Saturday. We're all gonna have a great time. We're gonna buy each other shots. Maybe shit gets crazy and we go hide by the dumpster and do some cocaine. I don't know. Shit's gonna get weird. But guess what? Monday, you're in the shit snap group, bud, and you're gonna get the turd plops, and you're gonna get those, and that's it, And they knew that was like a deal, It wasn't unsolicited shit snapping. Anyways, we're here to talk about comic books. I guess was what we originally happened.
He's like a top. I just wound him up and let him go.
Samantha's here to say hello. I doubt she ever says hello again after that. Thank you for tuning in. All right, so you're on the beta. You're in backer kit. How do you feel? You're about at mid campaign, right? You're about 2 weeks in. You got 84 backers. How do you, or I don't even, do you even want to answer this? Because I feel how you feel about it?
I just talked to Tyler James for like an hour and a half about it earlier today. So
what's he got in stock with this?
He does comics launch and talks about crowdfunding. So we talked about it because
I didn't know if this was like his
community to do this.
Baby. Oh, so you're the crazy man.
Yeah. Yeah,
nice.
I'm the one who's running out in front and getting shot in the face.
So well, your face is still pretty. So what else is going on? How you feel about it?
I like the platform. The team is very helpful. They're very hands-on with this because it's new. Some of the things like on the left-hand side, those little shortcuts, you can jump right to different parts of the campaign by clicking on them. So
Oh, like little bookmarks. Okay.
yeah, so the story, when you create the campaign, your story is in sections. It's not one giant canvas like it is on
Ooh, I
Kickstarter.
like that.
That was
I
pretty
like
cool.
this a lot, actually.
Yeah, so you can jump around. The pledges have pictures. So the different levels, you can actually see the picture of what you're pledging for. Instead of having to create graphics for like stretch goals, you have the achievements tab there at the top. So it tells you what the upcoming stretch goals might be.
Oh.
So it's interesting. It's different. But what I'm finding is that the Kickstarter following I have is not coming over to the platform.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
Because you have a good
for
fucking
backers. I
following.
usually have well over 100 on day one. So
Yeah.
So
So
I mean,
what?
I'm not.
How do you compete with that? What do you? Because you can send your previous backers through previous campaign updates. You can push updates and get those emails. So even doing that, even pushing that through previous campaigns, you're not getting a lot of crossover.
No, I've got 59 were previous backers, and there's actually 25 new people. So
That's good.
that's good because
You need
it's a higher
more.
percentage than I expected. But there's no discoverability on the site like with Kickstarter. So there's no one else running a comic campaign. So when they back it, they're not going to see you might also like.
Yeah.
You know, and if you have the Kickstarter app and say you're following me, you'll get an alert when I back something. So I find a lot of campaigns from things that people I follow are backing, or people I've backed before. I get an email with the launch, or I get an alert on my phone for the launch. None of that exists at this point. So the platform itself is good, but the outreach so far is not what I was hoping for. But I knew this was going to be a challenge, and if it fails, it fails. That's part of getting better is learning from failure and moving forward.
Do you think though, because you're at?
I mean, we're at 60%. I did a shorter one. We launched last Tuesday, so
Yeah.
I mean, we're on
Wow, so
pace.
you even did a shorter one. You're a masochist.
Well, I didn't want it to. If it was going to be a struggle, I didn't want to drag it on even longer.
Oh yeah, that's true.
That's
You're
true.
like, let's do a 60-day campaign. Like, oh, well,
Yeah,
so
just
all right. So
send
what's
updates to the same people over and over again. Hey, tell your friends.
like, hey Blake, how can you have me on this week too? So what do you think? Because right now this is and again, I think we need alternate sources of crowdfunding. I think it's good. I don't think it's great to like have like a monopoly, right? But also at the same time, like what makes it worth the risk to check this out, or crowdfunder, or Zoop, or we got a couple more options right now, now and like what is it? What's the benefit? Or are you building a new audience here? You think say this funds and does well, and then for canceled 3 or for stake 7 or whatever's next, like, I mean, does that help? And you have a bigger well in your email database or something? Like, what's the benefits of going to these alternate sources?
So for this one specifically, like the Zoops and the other ones, I didn't quite see a benefit to going there because you're literally just trying to go against the grain. It feels like with this one, if you've done surveys after your campaigns, a lot of people use BackerKit. So it's something like 60% of Kickstarters use BackerKit. So I wanted to see if that translated to them having a robust database of people that they would be sending to, and if they would respond to it. It's also all part of it. Kickstarter, you get charged by them, and then if you go to BackerKit, you're going to pay them too. Well, this is all rolled into one. The launch for before with the emails, the pledge manager, and the actual campaign, it's all the same. So you're not paying extra when you move over. So I just wanted to see how that all worked out. And I didn't do stake specifically because that is a book people expect to find on Kickstarter. Canceled's never been crowdfunded. So I'm also handicapped myself that way too, because this was a direct market book that's never been crowdfunded. So let's just make it as hard as possible.
But I mean, judging by what we know about Kickstarter math, is you're in a good spot with about 50% of time left, and obviously now you're on my show, so it's gonna skyrocket
I
after
expect to be
this.
funded when I wake up.
But I mean, more than likely you're going to get there. How are you doing on self-promotion on this one? Like, obviously you put up with my bullshit again, but like, did you do some extra podcasts for this campaign since it's a new outlet? Did you do anything different for like, for the promotion side of it, for the marketing part?
Not really, because there's only so many ways you can promote comics. It's basically podcasts and social media posts, unless I want to, go door to door. But my neighbors would probably think I was crazy. They already gave me dirty looks when I gave out comics for Halloween. So,
oh, those fuckers! Like, that's the best. You're like, sorry, I'm making your kids like read for fun. I'm such a weirdo. Like, fuck those people.
Well, I mean, it was Vampirella. I was given like 7 or 8.
Oh no! I gave him. You're giving out like Vampirella and fucking like THC gummies. Like, no, everybody's always like, no one's giving away fucking gummies to your fucking kids. This costs money. You're like, here's Vampirella and some weed, bud. You just eat that, read that comic. You're gonna feel great.
Well, we got to get them into this
as
at a
long
young
as you're
age.
of age.
We need more
you got to
readers.
start them early. You're like, I got to start you now so that I can get you on the back kit campaign for Canceled 3.
Yeah, here's a postcard.
So
with
you
the
are
link.
doing.
You
did do marketing a little bit different. Like, I switched it up a little bit. No, but that's cool. That's. Do you do a lot of because I feel like, now that I've been doing this for a while and I've gotten to know you and I've gotten to know like your cohorts, like like Charlie and Travis and like all these other guys, like you guys launch these campaigns and you get these comfort zones, right, where you're like, I can I can go to Blake's Buzz, I can go to Sparks, I can go to these, like you the shows that you're going to go on and aren't going to be like, well, I mean, they're going to be a clusterfuck, but not like a clusterfuck that you know how to deal with, basically. Like, you're comfortable there. So like, did I get, cause it's like, I always think of like David Propose, right? And like when David did the OZ and he's like, and we didn't know it yet, but he's like writing for Marvel while he's doing the OZ, and he did like fucking 40 fucking interviews, like during 30 days. And he raised like almost $40,000, but like, then, Charlie Stickney does like 3 Twitter spaces and then raises like $60,000. And then fucking Pat Shan just puts boobs in a comic and raises $100,000. And like, I love that guy and I'm really excited for that comic. I don't mean that as a slight. Like, he's my $6-figure man. I love that guy. But you guys kind of get these like comfort zones. And it's interesting. Like if I was in your position, right? Like if I was writing a comic book and knew what I was doing and was on this new platform, like I would think the opposite. I would be like, fuck, man, I got to whore it out. Like I got to do 4 podcasts a week. I got to do this, and this. I got to get like 3 alt Twitter accounts to retweet my own tweets that I'm tweeting. Right. And like, I would go into this like deep, dark spiral, but you're just like, no, we're going to see what happens. And maybe it does.
I 100% should be doing all those things you say. I'm
like, you're like, I got shit to do.
No, I do. I work multiple day jobs too.
Okay.
Just because that's life. I end up running out of time to do all this stuff. Like best of intentions. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to reach out to 20 different podcasts. And then I end up
just come on mine.
I just come out
fucked up, bud. That's right. What are you guys like Luke and John, like, because John, you're not at a traditional publisher, so like a lot of your PR you're probably having to take into your own hands. Luke, this is your first go. Like, what do you guys think about that when you're promoting your own comics? Like, what is it? Just do you just reach out to anybody, or do people kind of recommend you to people? Like, how do you guys manage that?
Do you want to go first, Luke?
Sure. So I mean, part was just reaching out to people I already knew had podcasts who may be able to have me on, and some of it's honestly just like I see someone who's a colleague who's on a podcast that I've not heard of before, and I'm like, hey, I got a campaign, maybe they'll also cover me, and I reach out. So it's mostly just kind of seeing what everyone else is doing and seeing where I might find a fit for me.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I finished a Kickstarter like earlier this year, and I reached out to a bunch of places, but it was kind of hit and miss. So I'm kind of like trying to be just more targeted, kind of like in how I do my marketing, trying to figure out like what the book is and who it's going to speak to.
Okay.
Because if you just kind of like go, if you go broad, like you kind of think, well, maybe I'll get on one of these places. But if you're not sort of reaching the people who are going to actually kind of come to your Kickstarter page, then it's may not be the best thing to do. So that's what I tried. I kind of failed on that. So like I think for me, it's about trying to be more targeted and kind of reaching people who are going to read the book or back the project.
I'm like imagining John like accidentally asking to come on like a My Little Pony centered podcast. He's like, I got this new comic. It's really cool.
I would do it.
It's about tattoos and art. And they're like, yeah, come on. And then you like start talking about shit and they're like, yeah. And then they murder all these people at the sorority party. And then they take this fucking priest's arm and they fucking chop it off in the middle of the fucking church. And everybody's just sitting there like, like, okay, John Ward, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the first time someone's kicked me off.
We're gonna take a quick break and call our moms and dads and make sure everybody's okay. So that's interesting because I know I'm not the best podcast, but the only thing I know is like, yes, I'm gonna put you through a clusterfuck, but I'm gonna read your book and I'm gonna know how to talk about it and I'm gonna be excited about it because if I didn't think your book was that cool, like. I can't imagine that. I can't imagine like someone just having anybody on like on the converse side of like what you guys are dealing with, like thinking about who best can I talk to promote my book, or whereas like who can I have on my show to have a fun conversation with and get my audience to like back some cool comics and like like I could never be one of those people that could just like have anybody on the show. Like I'm not a great liar, even when I get 3/4 lit up before the show. Like it's gonna come out. Like I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna run out of shit to talk about. All of you right now, like I could keep talking about your books because I'm excited for them. If you're not excited for it, then it's just gonna be like, so how about them Chiefs? I don't know, like, and luckily I've never run into that as a host, right? Like I've had a couple people that took a little bit of extra effort to get to open up, but I was still able to get them to open up and they ended up having fun on the show. And I know not everybody can do that. And I know I'm not God's gift to podcasting either. Like I know there's a fine medium there, but I'm good at talking to people. I've always done that. And I love comics and I love getting excited about them. And I love weird, creepy horror stuff too. So when you guys can like mix it with that, and then when you can get like with fucking John and you can like come out with fucking like the fucking like Christianity stuff, or when you can get to David and when none of you reminded me to talk about my grandma when I was a kid. My fucking grandma after she retired decided to be a fucking clown, and clowns always kind of freaked me out. Oh, Marcuson's here for Vampires and Weed. Shout out everybody.
I'll be over later, Marcuson.
Marcuson writes Scout Comics is By the Horns. By the Horns Dark Earth number 6 is out today. It's a great first issue. It's awesome. I made the joke earlier on Twitter that it ends really horny, and it does. It gets horny as fuck at the end. But it's great. It's an awesome comic. Everybody should go out and check it out. You can get volume 1 of By the Horns. You can that's ready to get. Volume 2 will be coming out soonish. But yeah, 6 issues out. They're going to be coming back. They're taking a little break. They're coming back. It's one of my favorite comics. Give this guy fucking scantily clad alien vampires and weed. He deserves it. He's good people. Anyways, my grandma, God rest her soul. Jesus Christ, who listens to my show? Like, I think like sometimes when I think about like the train, like I know how to write, like I can write good, but I can write well, but when I talk, I don't like, I lose all notions of transition. It's just like I'm like a fucking choo-choo train driving into a fucking steel wall, man. Like I'm just like, we got to go here, here, here. Like I'm jumping around before we just run off the rails. Anyway, my grandma, God rest her soul, decided to be a clown when she was an older lady, and it made me uncomfortable, but she knew all these magic tricks and she would like practice her magic tricks, and I would want to figure them out. I'd want to like know how they worked. And so like I dealt with her looking like a scary clown to learn like how you pour water into a cup and turn it upside down and the water doesn't pour out. And it's because you have this like weird powder that turns the water into gelatin, and then like you turn it over. And then, or like the when you move the cups around and you like palm the foam balls and like pop the cups over. And I kind of learned some of these tricks, and I was like, huh. So one day my dad used to be involved with this organization, the Knights of Columbus, right? Like back before everybody hated the Knights of Columbus. Like this used to be like it was a Catholic organization. It was a big deal. I used to help with the Tootsie Roll drive. Like they would give out Tootsie Rolls like at these grocery stores and raise thousands and thousands of dollars to help mentally challenged people. It was actually a great organization. Like it legit. Like I watched these people count the money and like give it away to these like, well, they gave it. I thought they were the people that like, own the organization, but like no one ever kept the money, right? Like I would like, we would drop the money off. They would count it. They would hand it off. So it went somewhere. Hopefully it went to a good place. Anyways, but they did this like Tootsie Roll drive, and it was this huge, great deal. And my grandma was like, ooh, like I'm going to premiere myself as this clown at the Tootsie Roll drive. Right. And I got lumped into like having to paint myself as a clown and be like my grandma's assistant and like try and sell Tootsie Rolls to help the mentally challenged people. And it felt like I was like painting my face as the enemy. I was like, I'm uncomfortable. Like, I don't like these things. And I'm turning myself into this clown. And anyways, David, that's why I wanted to tell you about my grandma. Because you're a little after school special clown person, like really reminded me of this weird portion of my childhood. And just like I was never like tempted to like
an issue of haha.
I never pushed anyone down the stairs. I never like snuck my parents' samurai sword out and chopped them up when they were sleeping, obviously.
Well, your grandma didn't do her clowning right.
She didn't, right? Yeah, she wasn't a good enough clown. It reminded me of that. And again, like going back to Smile and what Smile was made from, which was the It Follows. The Smile is very, very similar to It Follows, and it's all very similar to this notion of tradition, social extortion, social upbringing, these things that haunt us that we inevitably pass off to other people. This very real part of our lives that you guys are able to do, whether it's via a canceled TV show or a haunted tattoo or tattoo artists. Like these are very real fears that haunt us, that follow us forever. Like I'm fucking 37. Sometimes I still get weirded out by my fucking clown grandma who's dead. Like that's crazy, right? And you guys are making me read comics that are bringing all this up to the surface. And now I'm gonna have to like use part of my paycheck. Now, like this week, I'm gonna have to like finally fucking find a therapist, and I'm not gonna be able to buy those omnibuses I want when I get paid on Friday. No, I'm kidding, but it's just interesting. These things that make us happy, like tattoos make people happy, like that the people that are really into it, like that idea of the needle, that the monotony of the punctures and that relentlessness of it, like puts people into a daze, and it's calming for some, right? The idea of clowns, these things, these weird painted things that like are supposed to bring happiness, or like if you were, when I was a kid, like my friend's mom had all those clown plates, like the little tiny, like fancy collectible plates, like hanging up on the walls, and she had all these fucking clown pictures and shit. And it was like, I would wake up, like when we would sleep over there because they had cable, and we would watch Beavis and Butthead. And I'd wake up at like 2:00 in the morning when we fell asleep watching late night runs of Beavis and Butthead, and then all these fucking clowns are all over the walls, like staring at you, like burrowing. Like, you reminded me of these weird moments of my childhood that like I haven't thought about for fucking like 30 years, man. And I fucking read Canceled too, and I'm like, great, thanks for traumatizing me in a whole new way.
And anytime, every day.
that's the pull quote right there.
But I mean, do you guys, when you were designing this, when you were structuring it, when you were thinking about tattoos and changing the body, when you were thinking about, you know, clowns and how they're supposed to be positive and you know, reliefs to the pressures of society, when you guys were thinking about that, were you like, yeah, we can make this fuck with you? Like, I mean, was that, or did it happen in a different way? I mean, I know like clowns have been scary for a while, you know, but like I haven't seen many like horror tattoo like shenanigans. Like I've seen like X-Men and mutants like with tattoos that can like fight Magneto and shit and fucking like slam Sabretooth to the ground and be like, fuck you, Wolverine, you couldn't do that. I've seen that in the comics. I don't see a lot of clowns in comics other than like, you know, Joker, but I don't think the Joker's really a clown. I think he's something else that everybody wants to complain about. But you know, like when I think of clowns, I think of like It, right? And like, you know, we all float down here, and like, why would you fucking reach your hand in? Why would you reach your hand into a sewer, even if there wasn't a fucking clown there trying to trick you? Like, that's just something I wouldn't do. Like, oh, I lost my newspaper boat. I'm gonna make my fucking brother make a new one.
Georgie's parents failed him. They should.
Yeah.
But anyways, like, did you guys know that this trauma that you were playing around with in these narratives you made, like, did you know that they would really make your audience think of shit that they didn't really want to think about? Were you planning on that? Were you like gunning for that? And you're like, that's gonna make us scarier and better, or is that just like a happy accident? Whoever wants to take that first.
Well, I like the concept because the clowns can be creepy, but also by keeping him trapped in the TV, he's actually manipulating people, which makes it even worse because he's not actually killing anyone.
It's them, yeah.
He's convincing other people to do so. And it's, you know, clowns are supposed to be comforting and funny, but he's really quite the opposite.
What about you, John? Like, the artistic element of like changing your skin and the performative aspect of like gorgeous tattoos, how'd you turn that against your audience?
Yeah, I mean, that's it. I was hoping that like people would get a connection to it, like that kind of touched them. I mean, you know, it's always a bit of hit and miss because you just don't know, right? You set out with an intention, but you don't know if it's going to land. I think one of the things that kind of like was interesting to me, just because like a bunch of my friends were tattoo artists growing up, and people always kind of espouse this notion about like tattoos of being like an individual kind of, you know, an expression of their own individuality, and yet everyone gets the same fucking thing. They just kind of get like number 4 off the shelf, and it's like, you know, like to me there was something really interesting about the conformity that's kind of there, and like what drives people to kind of get this conformity, but then proclaim it to be an individual kind of choice. And you know, there's just something in the psyche about people choosing to do that, but kind of, is it a conscious choice? Is it like a subconscious choice? Is like, and that's kind of like where like I sort of started thinking about the tattoos. Like, you know, maybe the tattoo was kind of like a life form that was kind of like trying to manipulate people's minds to kind of like get these tattoos on their body to kind of so it could exist, kind of thing. And that never really sort of came out in our book, but kind of like that was the impetus for it. But I kind of felt it touched on this kind of notion of kind of, you know, for me, like being an individual is kind of scary. Like being alone in the world is kind of scary, and it's kind of easier to conform. And like we wanted to kind of like play with that kind of notion in the book, and like we hope that it would land, and hope that would kind of have scary resonance for people. And for some, I think it did. And I'm very happy that those people kind of enjoyed the book.
Nice. Luke, what about you, man? Do you think what do you think about the horror genre? I know your current Kickstarter is sci-fi fantasy, but just with our other two guests are very enveloped in horror. And I think when you're good at writing genre fiction, you can kind of explore the different planes when you get a good habit for it, because genre fiction is very much like ingrained into humanity. And when you can talk about humanity and manipulate that with your audience, I feel like you can kind of do whatever the fuck you want and reign supreme. Like, have you thought about doing horror? Is that anything like, are you interested in that? Or are you more like, sci-fi fantasy, different kind of genre? Because some people aren't into it. Some people are like, no, man, like I don't want to like fucking dig up your fucking trauma and play with it like a puppet master behind the scenes and make you think about your grandma in weird ways. Like maybe that's not what you want to do with your life. I don't know. But like,
no, actually, horror is actually one of my favorite genres to write. It just didn't have enough stories that I thought would fit well together for an anthology for Sparks.
Okay.
Yeah, I absolutely love horror. I love how you can use it to almost build sympathy with people, because you can really hone in on your specific fears and try to express that in a creative way that makes it understandable to other people, especially like the LGBT community. Like the horror that they generate is just phenomenal, because it really breaks down the fears and issues that they go through to their base components, and that way expresses them, I think, to a way that's just more understandable to a broader audience without necessarily even telling them that this is a queer story.
Yeah. The manipulation of identity is very intriguing in those kind of stories, right? Where, because that's our comfort zone, right? Like I'm supposed to know me. I'm supposed to know who I am. Luke is supposed to know who Luke is. John knows who John is. David knows who David is, right? But then like when you throw those wrenches in the gears and when you get like nervous and uncomfortable and you're like, ooh, am I this? Do I mean that? Do I exist this way? And then when you can play on that and then scare people on top of it, like where you've made people wildly uncomfortable. You've taken them literally like out of any comfort zone they can get, and then you scare them on top of that. Like, yes, that's what I think horror is beautiful, and I think John and David do that well, because they go. John goes through like our late teens, early 20s, and plays with faith. David makes us think of our clown grandmas, which, okay, maybe that's a unique experience for me, but like regardless, like kids and clowns and birthday parties and shit, like that's not abnormal. That's a normal thing for a lot of children. And David, and then even then, like, and then David goes into this like kind of Mr. Rogers scenario of like this person that we're all comfortable with, that we hung out with when we were waiting for our parents to get off work, or when we were like the first thing we did when we got home. Like we come home, we fucking hang our backpack up, we take our shoes off, we sit in front of the TV, and this person guides us through a moment of our childhood, and David takes them and turns them against us and makes them like this malicious manipulous like entity that can take control of children and make them do terrible things. And so I just think that's like really unique, and it doesn't make me sound really bad. It's unique and fun. It's great. Like I love being scared. Like thinking about last night, watching Smile by myself in the dark with the volume turned up really loud, and like you get so nervous you laugh. I remember when I went and saw Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, and there's some I know whatever you want to think about it. Like, I'm not trying to make arguments. I know that wasn't everybody's jam, and it had some weird stuff going on with it. But when I watched it, that was back when I was still going to see all the new comic book movies. I would go like midnight on Thursday, and I had to see them first thing. And so like it's fucking after midnight. There's about 15 people in the theater. it was the scene where he like you don't know if he's really with his neighbor or not, and he shows up and like she lets him in the house and her kid's sleeping and it's really intense and bothersome and odd. I was so nervous and freaked out I laughed. And I laughed in an empty, or not an empty, there, like I said, there's about 20 people in this theater. No one's making a goddamn noise. And I was so nervous and uncomfortable, I chuckled. And as soon as I chuckled, I like covered my mouth, right? I was like, oh my God. I was like, and people like turned and looked at me like, what are you? And I was like, oh my God, I was like so ashamed. But I think that made it better for me, right? Because it like, oh man, it made me that much more uncomfortable, it made me like that much more scared, that much more worried of what would happen and what people thought of me and what I thought of myself. And like I said, like great horror does that. And so I love that discomfort. And I really dig that you both, John and David, you're able to like build that discomfort, make it something else, make it tell your story the way you want to tell it. It's super great. And Luke, like no slight to you, like these guys, I got to read their comics beforehand. I know you're still working on stuff, and your preview pages were great, and I love I love the outline and the artists and the little snippets that we have of your short stories. And so like I like no slight to you, I just luckily got to read like their stuff beforehand. And but it's that discomfort, that way to make my brain work differently. And I think Luke's stuff is going to do that too, because great sci-fi has to do that as well. So does great fantasy. You got to take us out of our comfort zones and throw us into a new story. And I have faith in Luke with that as well. But I just commend you guys for doing that, whether it's to take us on an adventure or to make us hate our grandmothers or to make us really glad we never got a tattoo. Like all you guys are doing that, and it's really cool. And I'm really excited for what you got going. And I don't know, man. That's I talked a lot for a long time, I feel like, and I'm really sorry. I just love horror. I really do. I really do love horror. And yeah, like I said, it's oddly enough, like it's so funny. I watched Canceled last night and then stumbled into both of your narratives again in a different way this morning, and just like straight up fucking contaminated my day, like in the best way, in the best way though. So I know I've kept you guys for almost 2 hours, and like, thank you so much for putting up with me. And again, it's always so great to talk comics with you guys. And anyways, I want to go through real quick. I want to make sure everybody, I want you to tell us like where to find you at, if you got like a store online or something, anything like that. I want you to let us know. John, we're going to start with you, because I know John straight up told me, John was like, I don't think I can go the whole 2 hours, and we're coming right up on 2 hours. So
yeah.
I guess I'm not the worst host if I fucking
no
sucker you guys into staying the whole time. But no, yeah. It was John. It was great to have you. I really do love your comic. It's creepy. It's fun. It's fucking physical. It's weird. It's religious. It's religious and it's not religious. You pull me in all these different ways. But where do we keep track of you at? Where do we find you at online and all that good stuff?
My website is the name of like my film production company, Arbutus Films. So after Arbutus, after the tree. So I'm on Twitter, Mastodon, and Instagram, basically at the same handle, Arbutus.
Oh, you're a fucking Mastodoner, huh?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I set up an account in like 2017, and I checked it like the other day, obviously, because Twitter kind of like, we don't know what's going on with that, and I was like, oh, holy shit! Like I've got all these like toots from 2017. I've completely forgotten I even had an account, so it's kind of.
I keep thinking about signing up for it, because I mean that's part of what I do. I have to be on social media, right?
Yeah,
like you guys wouldn't want to fucking talk to me if I wasn't on social media. Like, you want to go on Blake's show? Like, no one knows about it. He lives in a fucking cave in Kansas City, like broadcast to people like an audience of 2. But every that's one of the main alternatives that people are talking about is Mastodon. And you know what, man? Like when I tweet something, right? Or if I tweet a new episode or a fucking something, I got to do it's Twitter, it's personal Facebook, Blake's Buzz Facebook, Instagram, depending on what I do, maybe TikTok. Like, dude, adding another deal to that sounds absolutely goddamn exhausting. Like, I'm like, I don't know if I want to bring a fucking mastodon into this. I don't know. What do you think it's worth? Do you think that's worth checking out, maybe? Or
no,
you just...
I don't think so. I mean, if you're already doing a bunch of other stuff, like I don't think you want to jump on another platform. I think you just kind of want to keep building your audience on the platforms that you have.
Yeah.
I mean, like I'm not like on TikTok because I have a face for radio. Well, like not even a face for radio. I don't even have a voice for radio. So like it's kind of like I have to stick to stuff that I can just like anonymously kind of like write. So like Twitter was great for that, and so Mastodon is fine for me. But I think like video is the future of where we're gonna be. So like if you're gonna go anywhere, I'd go something that's like video oriented.
Yeah.
Mastodon will work for me, but it's not for everybody.
I gotcha. Yeah, I'm the same way. I think a lot of stuff's going video. I'm about to sneak peek real quick for everybody. I'm about to do 5 things with Blake's Buzz. It's about to be a new YouTube segment. I suck so bad at editing video. But it wasn't long ago I sucked at editing audio when I launched the podcast. So, like, I'm learning. But I'm basically what I want to do, it's going to be 5 things with Blake's Buzz. It's going to be 5 comics. I wanted mostly new releases, but maybe like an older, not super old, but like maybe a trade, or depending on what I read, an omnibus or something. 5 books, whether it be single, trade, or hardcover, or deluxe, and 5 things I like about them. And that's going to be my new YouTube thing that I'm going to be trying to do once a week, and I'm hopefully going to get the new one out by Saturday. Like I'm working on it. Now that I said this, I totally probably just fucked myself. Something will break or my computer will catch on fire. But 5 things with Blake's Buzz. Keep a lookout. That's one of my new things to combat all the weirdness going on right now, and also to make myself read more new comics, because I do this show once a week, and then I do like the podcast typically. So I'm usually prepping for interviews, and people give me shit a lot. They're like, "Oh, you haven't read this new comic yet? Oh, you haven't read this new comic yet?" Like, motherfucker, I did like 8 shows this month, like with like multiple guests. Like, sorry, I didn't get to read like every 40, comics that Image put out or something. Anyway, so hopefully this is gonna be my new thing. I do think video is real. I'm trying to do more on TikTok. TikTok's fun. Everybody's really positive and fun on TikTok too. I don't have a great face either. So like, my pasty ass is on TikTok trying to talk comics, and I've had pretty good luck with that too. And like I said, everybody's really nice. It's not like there's not that Twitter negativity is very much like in Twitter. Like once you branch out, it's kind of cool. But unfortunately, like I have 4,300 followers on Twitter, and so like I gotta kiss the ass where the ass is worth kissing too. So anyways, everybody, if I can get like 4,400 followers on Facebook and TikTok, if we get that happening tomorrow, we'll change up all the shit real quick. But anyway, John, like everybody should follow John. Everybody should check out this comic book. It's spooky, it's cool, it's different, and it's fun. And if you got tattoos, it'll creep you out a little bit. And if you've thought about tattoos, it'll creep you out a little bit. And if you ever went to church, it'll creep you out a little bit. So it's got a couple ways to lure you in. Next up, Luke. Luke, where is a good place to find you at and keep track of you?
I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Luke W. Henderson M. I'm also on TikTok at Luke W. Henderson. That's where I'm most active.
Oh, so you're big on TikTok.
Lately, yeah. I definitely do most of my stuff on Twitter, but I've been trying to post something about every other day on TikTok.
Are you like me where I like sometimes I'll post like a decent video, but I just feel like it takes me too long, and I'm like, these damn kids do this in like 5 minutes. Like I love TikTok and it's fun, but I have like too many of those moments where I'm like, this was a fucking 1 minute, because I'm trying to do 1 minute reviews, like basically, right? Because if you do 1 minute, you can do TikTok, a reel, and a YouTube short, and you can post it to Twitter. So you can like get it on all your social medias, and TikTok shorts are getting passed around big right now because it's newer. But it's, I mean, as you guys can tell, I don't know how to fucking shut up. So like, how do I only talk for a minute? That gets hard. That's tricky. How are you manipulating that? Like, do you edit on your phone? Do you edit on the computer? Do you have video editing software? Tell us your secrets.
No, I just do it on my phone in the TikTok app. I'm not that fancy.
Oh shit, man. Damn. I use Canva because I pay for Canva to do like all my promo art, and it has like a TikTok template thing, but it gets clunky. It gets really clunky and weird sometimes. But you know, hey, Canva, $13 a month. Adobe's like $500,000 a month. Like someone told me that the other day, like, yeah, dude, use Adobe Premiere, and it's like, cool. Let me just pay another $50 a month.
I usually just use After Effects from Adobe. It's gives you more features than Premiere.
Okay,
but you can take stuff from Premiere into After Effects.
Is it really expensive?
It's all part of the Adobe suite.
Oh, so you got, okay. So but that's a lot of money. Like you can't even buy their software anymore. They don't even let you.
No,
like
that's what's ridiculous is you can't buy the software.
Yeah, I remember like back in the day when it was like, and I'm gonna age myself, but when it was like $99.99, if you had like the student, if you could use like my UMKC email or whatever, and you could buy like the suite for $99. And now like you can't even do that. You can get a student discount on your subscription. But even then that's like $25 a month or $30 a month or something. And then if you're just a regular person, it's like $38 a month for like 2 of their things. Yeah. It's just like, I'm just like, let me fucking buy it. Like, give me, anyway, I'm looking at, Filmora, and it's $20 a month to check out, but it's $80 if you like it and it works for you. It's $80 a month, or it's $80 forever. You pay $80 and it basically lets you buy it. That's what I'm looking at. I haven't got to play with it that much. Like I said, I'm using Canva Pro. That's $13 a month. I use that for all my promo. You can't see it, but that's what the Blake's Buzz things behind all our screens was designed for. Like I all my stuff I do on Canva, but it's for video. It's kind of clunky. It's kind of a clunky mess, but it's new. It says it's another deal that says beta at the top, and you're just like, man, I hope this works. But anyways, it is video's interesting, and it's different. It's definitely different than like live, right? Because like tonight we're just going with it, right? And it either one of our Wi-Fi connections could drop, the power could flick out, like who knows what's gonna happen. It's fucking live, right? And it's exciting. But yeah, it's video editing is fucking weird. And speaking of weird, last but not least, Canceled 2 is here to haunt us and make us have nightmares. And I you know what? I hope my dead grandma comes and haunts y'all in your sleep, because I just feel like that would make it better. David, where do we David's never coming on my show again. David, where do we find
I'll be back next week. It's all good. I'm pretty much every platform, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You can find me with DAB282, which, believe it or not, was my AOL Instant Messenger ID.
That's fucking insane. Shut up.
Oh yeah, I'm not creative when it comes to that stuff.
Oh my god. You know what mine used to be? It was mine was, and I know this is like not like woke anymore or whatever, but like and this is like back in the 90s, was Blake the Pimp 1027. And like, dude, everybody thought it was like so clever and neat, and then now people would just be like, you're disgusting. You're just like, yeah. Anyways, that was back in the day. We used to fucking go in AOL chat rooms and like pretend to be like whoever to get like, oh man, because AOL chat rooms were weird. That's a horror story that needs to happen. Is the AOL the we call it ASL. Oh, yes, the haunted chat room, ASL. Maybe one day I'll write this.
The instant messenger may make an appearance in Canceled 2, just so you know.
No, oh man, there's no original idea anymore. We're all fucked. All right, so I think we lost Luke, but he got to introduce himself and get the outro. We know where to find David. We know where to find John. These are some awesome comics that I hope you all really check out. Whether you tuned in tonight, thank you for tuning in. Whether you watch this later, thank you for watching it later. Love more, hate less, read comics. I'm just here to help put great comics into the hands of fans. And I appreciate everybody for following me. I appreciate people for backing, my Patreon, and for just being great friends. Real quick, I want to shout out a friend of the show. Oh my God, literally $1 away from funding. Why am I even promoting her? She's doing great. This is ridiculous. Anyway,
she needs help. She's 401.
Oh, she's 400. Yeah. Okay. I just can't add. I can't. Oh man, I can't numbers.
Yes, she's great. Back this campaign.
Yes. Back Sacramento 1 through 5. The art is insane. There's great variants. The comic is wonderful. The art
she does
is unreal.
everything herself, right?
Everything. Letters, writes, draws, variants, anything she can do to make this comic better. She does herself. Please check out Sacramento 1 through 5. You can get them all digital if you want. If you want to get the backlog, you can get physical catch-up tiers. Like, she's anything you want in this campaign, she can make happen. Anyways, I really appreciate everybody for tuning in. Unless you guys got anything else to say, I'm gonna fucking play the music and we're gonna get the fuck out of here.
Buzz, buzz, baby.
Buzz,
Yeah,
buzz,
I
baby.
said buzz, yeah.
It's Blake's Buzz Live.